2005 gave us the single greatest hidden gem of the 6th generation, Pac-Man World 3. I'm just messing with y'all. This game sucks ass. Hello, my name is Will, and I played the Edgy Pac-Man game so you don't have to. This game ruled as a kid. I thought that the difference in approach and mechanics that Blitz Games took with Pac-Man World 3 were actually pretty beneficial. I thought it was a risk that paid off. You know, 11-year-old me, my brain was in overdrive at the concept of a talking Pac-Man. I've played it a few times over the years, but it's been at least 10 years since I last played the game. I do think it has an interesting part in gaming history, and I think it's, if nothing else, a time capsule of the 2000s edginess that had every game franchise in a chokehold.
You didn't happen to see the... Oh, thanks, Snooky.
I did it all for the Snooky. I'm not going to be reviewing this game per se. I'm not here to critique the overall quality of the gameplay and the storyline and the development history. I just want to hyper-focus on the atmosphere of the game, because a Pac-Man game has atmosphere. So that's worth talking about. I know I literally just said I won't talk about the development history, but I do just want to touch on it briefly because I think it plays into why this game ended up having the atmosphere and the ambiance that it did. So according to pacman.fandom.com, which is actually my homepage when I boot up Google Chrome, this game first came to fruition as Pac-Man Adventures in about 2003. The game was canceled for whatever reason and eventually reconceptualized as Pac-Man World 3 and developed by Blitz Games. The game would end up getting canceled again, but Blitz Games believed in the concept so much, they basically begged Namco to let them complete it. Eventually Namco caved and said, fine, but it has to come out in 2005 and we're not giving you a dime more, so figure it out. And they did. Blitz Games released the game, a 3D platform with one of the most recognizable mascots and IPs and maybe entertainment in general. The reason I think that's important to mention is because a lot of the ambiance of this game comes from the lack of music. So this room right here is a great example of what makes this game organically atmospheric. I don't know if it was a mistake or intentional, but there's these pockets of different levels where there's just no music. There's like some ambient sound, but other than that, it's just this slow hum of, I don't know, the world turning. There are all of these little pockets where there's no music playing, so it feels like you're in like a void, like just an empty, barren landscape where you're like the only sentient being that still remains. The development history is important to keep in mind because I can't tell if that was on purpose or not. If it was on purpose, it's actually genius game design. If it was on accident, it's actually genius game design. It's just silence. It's just the echoes of bats in a cave. Your little boot steps. Like, why is it so eerie? Why is there so much atmosphere for a Pac-Man game? Where's the music? Did I mess this up? Oh. There's just no music in this entire section. There's just like ash in the air. What the dude, it's Pompeii. It's like you took Pac-Man out of Pac World and putting him into like Horizon.
I'm glad we met.
This looks like a Horizon cauldron.
Absolutely.
So one of the recurring gameplay loops is this back and forth between the real world and the spectral world, which is, I'm not gonna explain the story. So the real world levels is where you start. These are more based in reality and more grounded. A lot of these levels are designed to make it seem like there used to be a civilization here that built up this architecture. This is weird. Let's be very clear about it. This is weird for a Pac-Man game. Pac-Man should not be discovering ancient architecture and extinct civilizations nestled on the cliff sides of wherever they are. Pac-Man should not be coming across underground temples guarded by robotic scorpions. He's Pac-Man. He's a ball. Now, on the flip side, you have the spectral world, which is where the ghosts of the game are from. You have the traditional ghosts that have pursued Pac-Man for decades, who are actually helping him in this game. And then you have these spectral ghouls, spectral beings. These are the actual bad guys in the spectral realm. This actually ends up being very crucial to the environmental design of the game, right? If it was a level based on your traditional Pac-Man ghost, it'd be a lot more childish, lighthearted, whimsical. These are these weird spectral creatures that you've never seen before in a Pac-Man game. They're allowed to design the level to look like that, to look entirely new and entirely atypical to what you'd think a Pac-Man game would look like. The spectral realm levels are pretty beautiful, and I think this is where like the most edge comes into the game. There's this one level where in the music, there's like a woman screaming and like a child crying. I don't know if this perceived edginess was on purpose. At least not all of it. There is a 420 reference in the game. That is intentional.
Pac-Man is a model 420 tri-cylinder micro-tolerance compact.
Are we serious with the 420 reference? Now you can design a level to look as spooky and scary as you want, but if it doesn't sound spooky and scary and edgy, then it's not gonna pay off. None of these sounds feel like they would come out of a Pac-Man World game. These sounds are like cold. They feel ancient. They feel like you're activating. Listen, I know I'm being extra, okay? But this is how I feel. It feels like you're activating an ancient device that has been left long dormant for centuries, and you have to blow the dust off of it to get it started. And this is the best sound in the game right here. Now, of course, you can't have stellar sound design without a stellar soundtrack to go along with it. Thankfully, there are plenty of instances where the music fits the level so perfectly and takes the overall atmosphere to the next level. Not that you're completing the level and going to the next level. I'm talking, you know, quality-wise. What instrument is that? It's going like dun 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 dun. It's one of those string instruments that you like hit with a hammer, right? The music is really good here. What the hell? This music feels more like a JRPG. And because the music is so good, that's what leads me to be confused on how intentional all these pockets of silence were. Was it actually intended for the player to have extended periods of time where there was no sound other than the echoes of creatures and lava? Or were you actually supposed to be hearing music and there was just something that wasn't coded correctly due to the time constraints of the deadline? Are you kidding me with this music right now? This rules. A lot of the level design is pretty awesome too. Now, awesome doesn't necessarily need to be good. It just means that you're in awe of like, oh my God, why did they choose to do that? But it can also be good. And there's instances of both. I think the level that most plays into this mystery of was it supposed to be edgy, was it not, is Dungeon Gundam, which the name itself makes you wonder, is this supposed to be edgy or was this on accident? So this level is set in the city ran by your antagonist, Irwin. For anyone who has megalophobia, this level may actually trip you out. The city skyline that you can see from the distance in this level is really interesting. These buildings feel like they're miles tall. There's the sound of like hovercrafts or flying cars going by. There's some type of automated propaganda alert system being blared throughout the city. And there's just consistent plumes of fire poking out of the walls. This level, this is atmosphere. This is what the kids call aura, okay? This has Pac-Man World 3 aura. Now this level is in the back half of the game. I'm willing to bet most people don't get to the back half of the game. And while the gameplay does certainly start to struggle and fall apart towards the middle act of this game, I do feel like just in terms of a vibes perspective, which you know me, that's arguably the most important piece of a video game. The vibes in the second half of the game, I think are stronger than the vibes in the first half. The same rules apply to Gogeka Central and Gogeka Heights. These are other cityscape levels also owned by the Madman Irwin. Both of these levels take place at the top of skyscrapers that are miles above the ground. Look at him, he's plinking! The level that I thought had the most unique, or maybe a better word, strange vibe is Zephyr Heights. Zephyr Heights made me feel like a mountain goat. It made me feel like I was just consistently climbing up just the facade, just the edge of a mountainside, trying to get to the end of the level. There's these various puzzles throughout where you have to activate these gondolas to get from place to place. And in these areas, because the gondolas are taking you across canyons, there's so much, I don't know, emptiness to the soundscape. I've never played Silent Hill, admittedly. I imagine this is what it feels like. Why does this level feel like Amnesia? Oh. Dude, that's scary. It's messing with my brain. Sure, maybe the final product didn't come out to be as great as Namco and Blitz were hoping, but there's a lot of risk and interesting decisions made by the developers here that I think is worth perhaps not celebrating, but worth chronicling. Maybe recognizing and celebrating just a touch, just a hair. On one hand, you can probably say, hey, maybe trying to take Pac-Man seriously and creating an edgy game isn't quite the most profitable decision for Pac-Man. On the other hand, you have to acknowledge that Blitz Games said, we agree, and we're gonna do the polar opposite of a Pac-Man game.
Wow, so quiet. Is this a ghost town?
The last registered inhabitants were a group of archaeologists who were apparently studying some local caverns. But I have no life readings now.
The only similarities between Pac-Man World 2 and Pac-Man World 3 is that you collect fruit and that it's 3D. That is it. That is where the family lineage concludes. And because of that intentional decision to veer hard left and do something entirely different, what we ended up with was such a beautiful time capsule of what gaming was like in the 6th generation. The gaming industry, while still profitable, was not the behemoth that it is now. Developers were more willing to take risks. People were able to make bigger games with smaller budgets. There was not nearly the overhead or the expectations that there is now. I think that because developers were given a longer leash, they had more freedom to make weird decisions and weird games, we're able to get games like Pac-Man World 3 then that we simply cannot get now. But even with that in mind, even with the gameplay being critically flawed at so many fronts, it's a fun game. It's cool to go back and see a game that has this much personality. I think there's a lot of 3D platformers that are classics. Obviously, people would point to the ones that are their personal favorite to say these are definitive, classic 3D platformers. But I don't know if every 3D platformer that I love, I can say has atmosphere. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, for example, especially Ty 2. I love those games. I wouldn't say that Ty 2 has atmosphere. This game has atmosphere out the wazoo. The vibes of this game from when you first take control of the character, not only is it entirely different from what you may have expected if you had played Pac-Man World 2, It's just weird on its own. In a complete vacuum, remove the Pac-Man World title from it. This is a weird game. Character models are weirdly gross and unattractive. Is that his umbilical cord sticking out of his neck? And the lost history of this ancient civilization that is hinted at and breadcrumbed your whole way through makes you feel like you are stumbling across something that you're not supposed to. Who the hell are you?
Oh, good heavens, you gave me quite a fright. I haven't seen another living soul down here for months, apart from the ancient guardians.
This is a Pac-Man game. Purely off of vibes and atmosphere, I recommend playing this game. I think it is weird, and I think it's unique, and I think it's worth remembering this game exists. This is a textbook time capsule of what it meant to make a budget 3D platformer in the 2000s. Expectations are low, and the developer's ambition is probably way too high. And what's the result with a formula like that? Well, if you're lucky, you get a cult classic on your hand. But in most cases, you wind up with a game that on its face is not that great. But for people that really enjoy it and want to spend the time being thorough, you'll find this game to be pretty memorable. Now, let's cut the shit. This game is not good. It's not working. That was bullshit. You know, when I started this video, I was like, man, I'm gonna prove to these people that this is a good game, but last 30 minutes have been testing my patience. It suffers from core mechanics that just simply don't work all the time. Why is this not? I could not be more centered on this rev pad right. I didn't move! What? What? Oh! Okay. Great sequence. My controller is just... Everything about this game is falling apart at the seams. Held together by a Dorito and a lock. Or Cheeto. I cannot think. I cannot even get my snack foods right. Level padding like no one's business to extend the player's experience. Bro.
It's been a while.
What was even the
I've been
point?
looking forward to seeing
You know, like... Not that I'm... these spectral things, there's 20 of them and it takes 6 minutes to finish one. That one takes 8 seconds. Why even bother? Just give me the cutscene. Give me the narrative. It's okay to not have padding in every square inch of your game. Oh, no! I was, yo, God forbid, I'm in a flow state, enjoying the game, making progress. My fault. Sorry. Won't happen again. The Pac-Man World 3 wiki is telling me I have 7 levels left. There simply cannot be that much Pac-Man left. And plenty of instances where the game just doesn't work. Can the pad... What is wrong with that sound effect? So one was down there on the bottom left platform, and one was in here. Soft lock. Please don't start me at the beginning. Fuck this. What? It's soft locked.
That's enough, Erwin, you big bozo. You're gonna destroy us all.
There is an outlandish difficulty spike in the middle of this game. It is inexplicable and it hits you like a freight train. Bro! I'm gonna die! I can't see! What's about to get real scary is when I fucking die, when I unpause. The camera doesn't always work, and it leads to 1,000,001 frustrating deaths. Oh god. And if you've heard people describe this game as a button masher before, they're absolutely correct. What is happening? Do you hear this? Whoa! But, of course, with a game that's broken comes a lot of funny opportunities. Oh, okay. Whoa! No! Oh, he got me in the end! Fuck! No! Okay. Folks, perhaps the scream was a bit too much. This game has 15 levels, which is perhaps 10 levels too much. And there was a multitude of instances during my playthrough where I really thought about putting the game down and moving on to something else. Oh! Oh, no way! Will this video get more than 40 views? But you know what? It's not about the views. It's about the principle. Let's do this. Whoa! No! Oh. That's a take a walk. That's a take a walker right there. That's a walker. I did see this game all the way through, and I'm glad I did. There were moments where you could see the developer's ambition actually come to life. There are good qualities about this game, and it's not just the vibes, which may or may not have been intentional. There is some creative puzzle solving, especially in the first half of the game. The platforming overall is pretty fun, although there are moments where it just simply does not work. And the writing is really funny. There are plenty of times where I actually laughed at the dialogue between the characters.
My stepfather made me summon it once.
Give it up, Owen. Conquering the universe never works for shrimpy megalomaniacs with mittens.
I learned the exact timing of these flame jets. I spent a whole day watching, concentrating, bearing the heat, memorizing the pattern.
And did it work?
Nope, got toasted.
If you see Pac-Man World 3 at a local game shop, go ahead and pick it up. You can probably find it for 10, 15 bucks, nothing that's gonna break the bank. Play for a couple of hours, take in the environments, enjoy the vibes I was talking about. I think it's worth at least seeing, especially if you missed this generation, what gaming was all about back then. What happens when you give a developer a limited amount of resources and a strict deadline, but they believe in their project and they want to see it through to the end. So if I were to give a score to Pac-Man World 3, 6 out of 10 on a good day, 5 out of 10 on a rainy day. I do think the headcanon I've built for myself about why all the reasons I like this game may not have even been intentional, but I like it nonetheless. And I hope I've made 11-year-old me proud by playing this game all the way through. Don't get me wrong, the game does suck, but I at least have some nostalgia for it. I appreciate you watching. If you don't mind, check out some of the other content on the channel. I've got a big project coming to the channel here in the next couple of months that I hope you enjoy. Other than that, stay tuned for more videos, and yeah, goodbye. How long does this go? They're launching mortars at me. What is going on? Dude, I'm getting fucking mollywopped. Ah! I'm gonna die. Did I do it? Show me the high score screen. Nah, get the fuck the fuck out of town, dude.